you have reached out to me annoyed at what I'm doing. And if I could sum up the criticism generally, it would sound something like this. Why are you doing this? Why get into this topic at all? But I'm not making this to stir up anti-Semitism. Please let me ask you a question. Am I allowed to say anything about Judaism or Israel or Jewish culture or even individual Jews themselves without sounding like an anti-Semite?
Am I allowed to ask any questions about the Jews without sounding anti-Semitic? Now, what you meant to say is, am I allowed to ask questions about the Jews without being accused of being anti-Semitic? Now, sounding anti-Semitic happens to be, you know, in the purview of your control. It's something you can control. But it doesn't seem like this whole question really bothered you very much. That's because one gets a certain whiff, you know, one gets a certain whiff from the presentation.
The Jewish question is the belief that a preeminent, influential global force resides within the world's banks, governments, and media corporations, and that those who dominate these institutions are Jewish leaders, most of whom hold interests that are antithetical to the West, with many favoring policies and influencing politicians who push for open borders and multiculturalism in the West, while simultaneously funding programs that maintain Jewish homogeneity in Israel. One aspect of the JQ insists that Judaism is a religious system dedicated to achieving dominion over the Goyim, or non-Jew, through coveted means, and say evidence for this claim rests in the Talmud, which is the primary source of Jewish religious law, with verses saying, quote, even the best of the Goyim should be killed. With verses saying, quote, even the best of the Goyim should be killed.
Well, this does it. You know, I need to make a call right now. Hello, Rabbi Schwartz. Just wanted to inform you that the Cat's bar mitzvah, where I played the keyboards last week, is going to be the last fucking bar mitzvah I'm ever going to play. That's the last time I'm going to be your fucking Ivan the Dancing Monkey. Or should I say, Ivan the Dancing Entertainment Goy. These days are over, Rabbi. These days are over. No, I'm not actually. I think the pay was reasonable, given my skill, and I'm not in this specific instance accusing you of being a cheap Jew. The question is with the Talmud, and you know, it's just it turns out like I watched this video on YouTube, and it's not just some goys, but it's even the best of the goyim, even the best of the goyim should be killed. We're not talking about like third-rate goys who I don't care about. I don't care what happens with them. But even the best of the goyim, you want to go after.
You should have enslaved the Jews and the Gypsies and had them work, right? You should have had them work for the benefit of the victory, and then if you wanted to, you liquidate them afterwards. That's the logical thing to do if you want to win.
My homies, my ninjas, my goys. What can I tell you except for Mazel Tov? You know, the Jews didn't yet come for us. You know, another day the Jews haven't killed us. Even the best of the goys, they're gonna go after. How good of a goy are you? What's your credit score? Even these people so kind of open and ripe for usury, the Jews are gonna kill. You just have to, man. You just have to be on the lookout for it. You know, it's the religion, man. It's just what's going on. Before leaping into Mouthy Goebbels, I meant to say Mouthy Buddha's video about Sam Harris and Jordan Peterson, I just wanted for you to see his prior work. I just wanted to take a quick fucking dive into that gutter, so you just kind of have a summary of the Jewish question. Have you read the Talmud, you asshole? Did. It's a fucking BDSM show in there, and the goy is always strapped. And that's what Mouthy Buddha made a whole series of videos about it. You know, it's like watching these videos, you almost want to kind of restart the gas chambers, but in my case, with a different target in mind. Too dark. I'm just tired of triple parentheses, man. It just kind of pokes my eye. I'm not dating a Jewish girl or anything, and I'm not even that decent of a human being, but it's just this fucking cliche. You know, it's the fucking 2018. We're still talking about the Jewish question. It's just what's going on. Anyway, just fucking forget about it. Just forget about it, dude, right? You don't care about the Jews. Maybe you should, but you don't. That was not the title of the video anyway. Just wanted to tell you who this Mouthy Buddha really was, okay? But today we're gonna look at something different. You see, in spite of his feelings about the people, the Old Testament people, nevertheless, Mouthy Buddha was a big fan of Sam Harris. And but now he likes Jordan Peterson. So basically, this is the whole fucking video that we're gonna analyze. Now, on the one hand, when the video starts out, Mouthy Buddha has his mouthy mouth filled with Sam Harris's balls. And then he kind of takes one out and puts Peterson's ball in without quite taking out Sam Harris's ball. And the whole kind of story, will he take out that other ball of Sam Harris and put in the second Peterson ball? This is the big kind of question with Mouthy Buddha. What's going to be in his mouth by the end of the video? So that's the whole video, and I'm going to review it. Is Sam Harris losing people like Mouthy Buddha and other Jew haters to Jordan Peterson? Is there some sort of a tectonic shift going on? let's fucking watch this shit already.
There's been an interesting thing happening. I don't quite know what this means, but I've been noticing in the last few weeks that when I've said things that are overtly disparaging of religion, I've been getting pushback from my audience in ways that I never have before.
Catholicism, let's say, for all its irrationality, was as rational as people can get. If you remove that level of irrationality, that's structural, say, then everything falls apart and people get so irrational you can't believe it.
The first thing to take note of in this goofy video is that immediately after Catholicism was referenced, this idiot Mouthy Buddha started showing us pictures of Orthodox Christian churches. These are two different things, my dude. Two different fucking things. There are different distinctions. They're not big on the Pope. The Orthodox churches aren't. Not too big on the Papists. There were like bloodshed going on for centuries, and when there wasn't, there was awkward relationship between the two. But the point is that, how can you tell us about the Jews, dude, if you don't know anything about the old world, man? How can you tell us about the scheming of the Jews if you can't even tell like fucking Orthodox churches from Catholic ones apart? It's just kind of basic shit. When you were pulling these images, somebody lied to you and said they were Catholics. Or it's just another kind of church, alright, man? That's the first thing. And the second thing is that throughout this whole video, you're gonna see kind of examples of this kind of corporate spirituality. It's just this kind of a high aesthetic developed for selling sneakers and Apple products. And it's just kind of amazing to see it in the hands of an alt-right kind of imbecile. It's just kind of strange that this aesthetic has descended and now it's in control of this guy and he wields it so well. There are going to be a lot of lit candles, a lot of kind of good music, quickly changing scenery meant to kind of invoke something deep in you, man.
My calling, in this case, Catholic dogma bullshit, was deemed offensive by some people.
Consider your transformation into something approximating the Logos. It means you shine a light on the whole world. Well, there's nothing more exciting to do than that. There's nothing better you can possibly do.
Hey Peterson, this clip art pasted together over your words has really inspired me, man. How do I become the Logos? How do I just want to become the Logos. It kind of just sounds like a daunting task, becoming the Logos. You know, man, it's like hard enough to just get some frumpy broad to reply to you on a dating site.
The true horror of religion is that it allows perfectly sane, intelligent people to believe by the billions what only lunatics or imbeciles could believe on their own. If you you think that saying a few Latin words over your pancakes is going to turn them into the body of Elvis Presley, you have lost your mind. But if you believe more or less the same thing about a cracker in the body of Jesus, you're just a Catholic.
The first time that I watched Sam Harris, I remember that I liked him.
This idea that without religion, something fundamental would be lost to us in moral terms. This really is questionable when you look at the books.
Out of all the so-called four horsemen, Sam was my favorite.
Whatever people are experiencing in church or in prayer, no matter how positive, the fact that Buddhists and Hindus and Muslims and Christians are all experiencing it proves that it can't be a matter of the divinity of Jesus or the unique sanctity of the Quran.
The second I hear this expression, the four horsemen, man, do I get the fucking douche chills, dude. Like, nothing against new atheism. I'm not a kind of a member of it in any way whatsoever, but I'm happy that it's there, you know. Some people had grown up in fundamentalist households and they need that, like, fuck you to Jesus. And there are real kind of threats, dormant threats to secularism in America, even if they don't compare to other countries. Nevertheless, fucking, they're there. And so I'm glad that there's this thing going on. But man, fucking four fucking horsemen is just so goofy. It's just a bunch of dudes fucking going on speaking tours and fucking selling books.
I'd never heard anyone speak about religion the way Harris did. He was and still is a wizard with words. It was during this time I read his book, The End of Faith, Lying, and Free Will. It was also during this time I was attempting to get sober through the AA program, founded upon the belief in a higher power. But given that I had become a kind of proselytizing atheist who would take any opportunity to tell a religious person that they were wrong, the idea of a higher power working in my life, or anyone else's for that matter, simply was not on the table. Thankfully, I found Waking Up. Sam's book, Waking Up, A Guide to Spirituality Without Religion, remains one of my favorite books on consciousness. I had been waiting for an atheist who was honest and brave enough to admit, and in this case endorse, the necessity of living a spiritual life. It was around this time that I had racked up some sober time, I went on a Buddhist retreat, I got my old job back, and through meditation achieved insights empirically confirming that my problems were arising solely from being identified with and lost in thought.
Insights empirically confirming that your problem has been that you were lost in thought. Insights empirically confirming, well, if they were confirming, they weren't insights, were they? If they were empirically confirming. Fuck it, who gives a shit? Fucking who gives a shit? Another fucking awkward expression from the Mouthy Buddha. Another awkward expression, or who knows, maybe English is my second language. Who am I to fucking nitpick this motherfucker? Well, anyway, check this out. What's up with this girl picture there that he flashed? Is that his kind of a former girlfriend or something, or current girlfriend? Like, who is this girl? I'm just asking, because here's my suspicion. It's just some kind of a girl, you know, took a picture with him, and he decided to post it here to show he has a social life. Like, he's just casually, did you bang her, dude? Well, I need clarification. There's so much images, so much information. I don't know what's going on with this girl, dude. It just sounds like you just, you know, it's just like on your Facebook profile. You just kind of post the pictures the 2 times a year where you're actually surrounded by 10 people in close proximity who don't mind being around you, and then it kind of years filled with that make it seem like you're the life of the party when you are a chronic masturbator. I don't know, man. What happened with this girl? No, did you? Well, what happened? It's just did you tell her about the Jews? There are different ways of looking at the world.
I would often sit and intentionally reflect on the universe, staring at the stars, and trying to fathom how big the cosmos was, and how small I was in comparison. And I would tell myself, isn't it incredible that all of this happened by accident, that by some chance, I'm alive and existing.
Now you're just the type of an idiot to sit around, look at the sky, and you're oh, the sky's so big, the universe, and I'm so small. And just like, how long can you fucking think about it, you fucking moron? Did you like spend days thinking about this shit? I'm so small, and like for the sake of comparison, like imagine like your bank account, how small it is, and then imagine the Jewish control over the international financial system, and then like multiply it by a factor of 1,000, dude, or 100,000, whatever, man, and that's the universe. And it's just a kind of a catchy metaphor for you, for your kind of inclinations and shit. But anyway, like here's the thing, you are a degenerate alcoholic. I guess alcohol has eaten through your brain and made you very goofy, man. You're just a goofball. Because think about it, everything is not random, but how about this? How about this for being very random? So there is a primate, a walking ape, and this walking ape, for some reason, like its brain interacts with alcohol, like this completely random substance, in no way profoundly connected with our survival, like for some reason, like as opposed to like orange juice or something. And this random substance makes us drunk, like cats have catnip and we have alcohol. And then because of this random interaction, right, your whole life has been redefined because you're an alcoholic, and now you want some sort of a spirit you've imagined in the sky, a sky spirit, to help you kick your alcoholism. So presumably, like, if there's a creator so involved in your life that it would give you a hand out of your own kind of alcoholic vomit, why would it create this fucking molecular fucking interaction to begin with? Why would this biochemical process exist? It all looks pretty fucking random to me, man. The whole thing looks very, very random.
Yes, the cosmos is vast and appears indifferent to our mortal schemes, but every present moment of consciousness is profound. In subjective terms, each of us is identical to the very principle that brings value to the universe. Experiencing this directly, not merely thinking about it, is the true beginning of spiritual life.
But as time went by, I realized, just as many atheists also realize, that my claim of an accidental universe was an assumption that made less and less sense, leaving space for a new assumption that some mind was behind everything, that something underlies the totality of the universe. I wasn't saying that I knew that or that I was in contact with that, but that just maybe. I wasn't a theist, but a kind of open agnostic, or even an open atheist. And I started hearing Harris with different ears, and it was just around then I saw this guy.
It's a contradictory document that's been cobbled together over thousands of years. It's outlasted kingdoms, many, many kingdoms. You know, it's really interesting that it turns out that a book is more durable than stone. It's more durable than a castle. It's more durable than an empire.
A rock formation is more durable than the hamster who made a nest in it. A Galapagos turtle outlived Joseph Stalin. This big old turtle. Think about that. If you throw away a condom, it'll outlast the dick that it's been on, depending on the conditions. And
I remember making a video on Jordan Peterson and Bill C-16 when a commenter said something to the effect of, "I love Jordan Peterson, too bad he's religious though." And my reaction was that I too at the time thought that it was too bad. It was a kind of intellectual letdown. How could he be religious? And did he actually pray? And what kind of religious person was he? Initially, Peterson's lectures were difficult to digest, as his use of language can sometimes be vague. But once his points do land, it's often an insightful perspective I wasn't previously familiar with. And since watching more of Peterson, I've been looking into other like-minded intellectuals of the past, such as Carl Jung, and his views on the collective unconscious, something Peterson references often. But this is not to say, speaking for me, that I don't still very much appreciate Sam's views and consider him a valuable voice in the world. But as it pertains to his views on religion, and it would appear that many others, some of whom atheists, have become emboldened by Peterson's perspective. In my view, Peterson's emphasis on meta-narratives, which in general are allegorical stories passed down through generations, refined and mirrored over and over through thousands of years, have been a beneficial compass directing how I ought to act in the world.
now let's connect the dots here, because what we just saw there was kind of amazing in a sense. It's just the mind of Mouthy Buddha it's hard to latch on to, almost because he's an idiot. And it's hard to say, like he said, it's been a valuable guide, like these archetypes and these meta-narratives. And then he presents a number of these cards, like the old man, well, that shit. And then the last card that he presented was the Tree of Life, right? So this is one of those ideas, these meta-narratives. And to illustrate this card, he shown this image, dude, that happens to be from the Kabbalah. It's from the Kabbalah. Now, could he be the kind of an idiot who just kind of Googled the Tree of Life, saw this fancy image, and said, oh, that'll work? Now, this could, forgetting about his antipathy toward the Jews, or man, since his important earth-shattering Jewish question videos, has he been won over to their side? And this is just think about it, man. They control the media. Who's to say they didn't see Mouthy Buddha's editing skills and just leaped on that shit? Because this is uncanny, that the Kabbalah Tree of Life. You know what I call the Jewish Tree of Life? The Goy Tree of Death. And Mouthy Buddha is going to be one of them. He's going to join them in going after even the best of the Goyim.
Though Sam's understanding of consciousness is profoundly more sophisticated than Peterson's, his analysis of religion often feels incomplete and surface level. I get it. Lots of stuff in the Bible and the Book of the Dead are irrational, but many other aspects of religion cut to the core of the human condition and our need to create these texts and how they came to be created. And the fact that the same themes emerge all over them is where Peterson's focus becomes refreshing, interesting, and helpful.
Juxtapose Peterson's picture with the Tao symbol. Why? Why? Because it's just because it's a brand. Tao symbol is a brand. And in this strange kind of mix of corporate spirituality with spiritual sounding new age kind of music, and that juxtaposition is fine. Because Peterson is a brand, and that symbol is a brand. But everything he's saying is, it's goofy, it's stupid. It's stupid. You know what's stupid? He presented these two books, the Tibetan Book of the Dead and the Bible. Now, I read one of those books, and that's the Tibetan Book of the Dead. And in fact, this is a book that most Tibetan never read. And it's actually sort of an obscure, as I remember, complicated text about how you go through the stages of reincarnation. How your mind shuts down, and then a flow of the mind continues into the next life. It's really like a kind of a tantric test that became very popular with different bohemian assholes. And now it's just a thing. But the reason I bring this up is because it has nothing in common with the Bible. There are no kind of common themes in there. One is explicitly about reincarnation. And in fact, the Buddha himself has spoken out repeatedly against the notion of a creator God. And the arguments he used 2,500 years ago, hundreds of years ago before the advent of Christianity or its coming to Europe, at that time Buddha spoke about how it is strange to believe that the world so filled with suffering would be created by a benevolent God. And so, as somebody who is a former Buddhist, I can't say that I'm not annoyed by the fact that this asshole just appropriated his name. Oh, I don't know how the Buddha would feel about the alt-right, but it's just kind of a brand that maybe this bastard should have left alone.
And to represent Sam honestly, his response to this would likely be that the reoccurring themes of virtue we find in religion can be found anywhere, claiming religion has good things in it, of course, but the good things come mired in superstitious bullshit. As far as being against the irrationality, I agree with Sam, but I have other disagreements with Sam that seem to be a difference in focus and a sense of caution in regards to Sam's conclusion that the world needs an end of faith. But in a way, Harris and Peterson are both right. Religion is full of irrational bits we do not need, and it's filled with great bits we do need. We have to find a way of combining the wisdom from religious texts with our growing appreciation for rationality, to learn from religion, because humans need community, and religion gives them the chance to gather in a purposeful way, to discuss the power of forgiveness, to get together in a room and talk about why it's important to be honest, to confess what we've done wrong. Religious people get to be a part of something that's bigger than they are, and I'm skeptical if the secular community can, number one, agree these are human needs, and number two, achieve these needs under a secular lens.
Actually, I agree with a lot of the things he said here. When I was a Buddhist, I would go to the Buddhist temple, and there were like some new age people in there were like some older people there for community, there were like some younger people like looking for meaning, people in different educational and categories, etc. And these would be the people, virtually none of whom I would interact with otherwise. And yet, even though some of them were kind of goofy seekers, and some of them were like honestly profoundly mentally ill, like there are a lot of mentally ill people who come to Buddhist temples. But anyway, I was there and I did feel a certain kind of sense of community because we were both seeking truth in awkward ways, seeking betterment. And there was something sweet and innocent about that seeking. And in fact, when I would, there was a temple in Dayton that I used to go to because it actually had like a trained Tibetan monk. And I would go there, and on my way back, on my drive back from Dayton, I really would look at the cars around me and feel a sense of communion with these people. Well, at that time I was a Buddhist, so I believe that we have all reincarnated so many times ad infinitum, because in Buddhism there is no beginning to the universe. One universe collapses and the other one is born, that every one of these people have been my mother in a previous life. Those are the things I actually believed, but nevertheless I really had a sense of community with these people, whereas now that I have lost religion, I have become kind of bitter and I genuinely hate humanity. And like my one dream, if I become like a full-time YouTuber, is the dream is just to shop in the evening, like shop at night, just so I don't even have to see people. Not even because I don't want to stand in lines, but just because I just don't even want to see them for the most part. And even if I see an attractive girl, I'm not gonna get with her or anything. It's just another way of subtler pain. I don't even want to see her. And knowing my tastes, she's likely to be underage. Just kidding, that last part was a joke. But anyway, and I don't think that the secular community can ever recreate it. You do need some metaphysical high, believe in something higher to really recreate that kind of real sense of community. You are kind of on a mission together in a way that you're just not in day-to-day world unless you're in war or something or doing some kind of a creative project. So that's it. But I don't think that secular world can recreate it, but neither does it. Neither should the secular world work to destroy religion. It should just push it out of collective decision making. That's all that I want.
So while anti-theists are stuck saying karma or reincarnation is irrational, I'm focusing on the insights of the Buddha and the impactful sacred texts in the Pali Canon. If you're still confused why Peterson has become so popular, it's because atheism, combined with religious antipathy, has made a lot of people discontent or fatalistic. The reductionist materialist worldview seems to have closed the door to meaning in the minds of some who inhabit it. And it's these kinds of people, among many others, who have been resonating with Peterson's lectures, who have taken the time to re-examine their axiomatic assumptions about the universe, or have only just realized they held them. Being an atheist simply means a lack of belief in a god. It's many who hold the materialist, realist worldview, however, that assumes the natural world is all there is. And I'm just not so sure anymore that this is the case. And although I obviously struggle with why bad things do happen, I still cannot help but doubt my atheism. I can't help seeing the world through a focal point of purpose, that my life has meaning. Not because I say it does, but because something bigger than myself might be behind it. And where even the question of God, however loosely or redefined, is an open one. Apatow, for example, with the exception of Steve Carell, has given all his starring roles to his fellow Jews.
In case you were distracted by the candle, I decided to insert some of his prior work there. Well, we can't just be like consumed by the candle. Do you notice, like, what is it with candles? I lit a candle, God exists. Now that there's a candle, you know, we have mastered fire here, and God exists therefore. And it's just, what is it with, like, candles that invokes some sort of a sense of, a sense that my alarm is fucking ringing? Fuck me, it always pisses me off so much. It's just some old piece of shit watch. You see, maybe I should light a candle right now. Maybe I should have an old clock and have a candle over it, and then hang it above my bed so it drips, 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 and Chinese water torture, and eventually the wax gets into my brain, and I rewatch these videos about the Jewish question, and I see the truth. If you ever have a sense that your life has meaning, just kind of remind yourself of mentally ill people in Indonesia who are put in cages outside and just fed until they die. Just remember children who were affected by Agent Orange, and now they're there in like Vietnamese orphanages with huge heads that they can't lift, waiting for death. Just remember those things. Your life has no greater meaning to it than that of a fucking fruit fly. And I mean, it's fine, you have meanings within that life, it just has no underlying meaning. Okay? And if you're an intelligent person and you believe in God, then it is a strange kind of, your meaning is like a shed of light under the door in the dungeon of a BDSM serial killer. Okay, like there was a serial killer in fucking Latin America who killed 150 girls and raped them. Before that, of course. And it's just like, it's just God. There's just meaning. What was the meaning there? What was the fucking meaning? You know, it's just like, you can't, if you're interested in connecting with reality. Motherfucker! Everything is making noise right now. Motherfucker! If you're interested in connecting with reality, do that. And the reason Jordan Peterson is popular, he's exactly right. They're one of these motherfuckers who sit around, who click off fucking Pornhub, and they need a sense of meaning. They need a sense of meaning. And they turn on Peterson. And much like this video creates flashing images, pointless flashing images, Jordan Peterson creates puffy thoughts. You know, man? Like puffy thoughts. Just this colorful smoke in a fucking cheap club. You know, it's just, oh, Dostoevsky, oh, Solzhenitsyn, oh, I hate social justice warriors, oh, archetypal Jesus. You know, that kind of shit. And I don't even fucking mind it. If this is what gets people high, you know, there are worse ways of doing it. Thanks for watching.